Welcome everybody. Today I wanted to talk about our up-and-coming game, Lufthoheit, because it's well overdue. It did something on YouTube about that, but for those of you that follow me on Twitter, you'll have an idea what we've been working on for the last few months. We can go into a bit more detail in a YouTube video, so I hope you're up for it. Anyway, whilst I'm picking up the programming chores, I'm also joined by Carsten Glazier in graphics and Laurent and Cyan Krazel on audio, and they're doing an amazing job, as you'll see and hear soon. Lufthoheit is a natural progression of the Mega Armalite engine, which started out as a port of the C64 game. Unfortunately, we were asked to discontinue the Armalite project, and whilst that was initially disappointing, we're now able to push more boundaries and have a lot more creative freedom working on our own IP, and in the end that was for the best. From the start, I wanted to push color boundaries and sprite handling boundaries of the Mega Drive and include effects that were seldom seen on the Mega Drive, such as scaling and rotation. It's really why I like the retro game concept, is that you don't have infinite CPU and infinite resources. You've got to make the best with what you've got, and it really pushes creativity. In the background right now, you'll see the latest multiplex sprites and high color demo that I've done, and it's a good place to start. What I learnt from making these demos has made its way into the game engine. If you follow me on Twitter, you'll know that this demo started at 440 sprites and 440 colors, and then we progressed to 660 sprites and 660 colors, and we culminated in this demo at 1,013 stars or sprites and in the same amount of colors. So Lufthoheit similarly will show more than the system's 61 colors normally allow, and will go way beyond the system's sprite limit of 80 also. Lufthoheit means King of the Sky in German, and that's an idea that Carsten has been conjuring in his mind for some time. And luckily, we've also had some artwork that he'd done that we could use. So once the Armalite project came to an end, we were able to put resources into Lufthoheit virtually straight away. Whilst we're showing some bullet hell sequences on Twitter, there will be other variations of gameplay that we want to try and achieve in the game, and it should be quite fun and diverse if we succeed. Each stage we're hoping will have 2 to 3 sub-levels, and today we'll just be showing one sub-level of one stage. We will have gameplay where the background is collidable, and also levels where it's not a collision object. We'll mix that up too. Right, now I'll just load up our current build of Lufthoheit. So we have a nice intro where the player ship has been scaled in and out whilst avoiding fireballs. This bit is on rails, and it's just opening to the level. We hope to mix this up a bit, maybe have different intros for different levels. We have to have pretty efficient DMA routines which transfer the graphics to the VRAM, because the bigger the animation gets, or the bigger the scale gets, the more data we've got to send to the VRAM to maintain a smooth rate of animation. So this particular scale is pre-rendered for higher resolution of scaling. We also support software scaling in the engine also. Whether we use the pre-render for the scaling or get the CPU to do the scaling, we're still bottlenecked by how fast we can transfer to VRAM, and hence DMA is very important. So I thought I'd just explain what this debug panel at the top of the screen is recording. The first metric we have is WIP, and that measures how many scan lines the frame takes to draw. It goes from 0 to 255, so we want as little a figure as possible. Anything over 255 is not within 60 frames per second. So that's our first metric, and we're showing that we're 76 scan lines on the worst frame out of the 255 scan lines we've got within the frame. And the next metric along is MP, which stands for multiplex sprites. Right here we're not using many, just got 14 multiplex sprites, and they're actually the bubbles in the water on this scene. The very next metric is VS, which stands for VDP sprites, and there's 31 of those. They're mainly the fireballs and the scaled ship. VDP sprites are basically the sprites that are not multiplex, so they're not height sorted, they're just the natural hardware sprites, and therefore they're cheaper to use, and we use those for larger enemies within most of the scenes. TS, that's total sprites, so that adds together the MP sprites and the VDP sprites. So in this scene that comes to 45. So this is not a heavy sprite scene, but I thought I'd just explain the way that panel works, because we'll be looking at that later in other scenes. So the parts of the level prior that we've shown have been focused on fewer ships and a lot of bullets. However, the scene I'm working on recently, I thought it would be cool to do the reverse. You know, lots of enemies and not a single bullet. Think enemy hell rather than bullet hell. This is very work in progress. It's a bit rough around the edges, but I thought it was at a good enough stage to show. I'll pause the video at certain times just to, you know, crunch points and talk about performance and enemy placement and things like that. I've just paused on this particular scene because it looks to be peak CPU. So we're up the top there, our debug panel's telling us we're at 227 scan lines of 255. So we're sort of, you know, we've got a good buffer left, approximately 10% still to do something with. But as you can see, we're already heavily sprited out on the screen. We're at 142 sprites on the total sprite metric. And really, you know, the player's got his work cut out for him at the moment, just trying to avoid all the obstacles. You will see that above there's some black jellyfish right in the middle near the top, and just down in the middle near the bottom. And just coming on the right-hand side, you can just sort of see a black jellyfish coming into view there. These black jellyfish are invincible, and, you know, so they're like assassins in a sense, and they'll have a special sound effect for, you know, when you hit them, and they might glow a different color or something like that. But right at the moment, they're just, you know, you just got to avoid them. We've also thinking about a dynamic or a mechanic where you have to get a power up or some other such, you know, enticement for you to move into danger's way. So we'll definitely have reasons that you have to move around in this level. You won't just be able to, you know, straight line it. Just want to talk a little bit about, on this frame, about the explosions in Lufthoheit. Because we've got so many sprites to play with, we can really, for explosions, we're not just limited to, you know, animating a frame of, you know, explosion, you know, with a single sprite or something like that. We can actually do debris, and what's happening with these larger jellyfish is they're exploding into 6 sprites that have trajectories. And so it looks pretty cool. It looks like they're combusting and blowing up into, you know, 6 particles. And we hope to do a lot more of this. You'll see more of this later on in the level. So this is our cruiser scene. We've shown this gameplay before, but I'll just do a quick description of what's happening here. We've got 3 cruisers that are moving in and out alternatively. Just like with the jellyfish scene, we're using multiple palettes. We're getting multiple palettes of colour out of just one palette. So in Lufthoheit, particularly in this level, we're getting about 6 palettes of colour out of 4 palettes pretty frequently. And this scene's no different. We're using a brownish palette for the top cruiser, then we change to sort of like the lead cruiser colours, and then we change again back to the original palette for the waterline, and it's also in shadow in the water, so some different colours there. This scene gets quite busy. You know, it's up to about 141 sprites in places, 158 just tipped over there. Quite a busy scene, and then they just take off at the moment because, you know, we haven't built in a destruction scene for them. But yeah, I don't know if you noticed, but there's also some scaling fire that was on the ship as well, which took me a little bit to get working. So right now we're coming into our drone scene, and this scene, as you can see, I'll just paused it here, it gets really busy. You know, we're showing 210 sprites there. We're pretty close to our frame limit. We've got 236 scan lines of 255 available for the CPU. So we're pretty busy in this scene. One of the reasons the CPU is so heavy is because every single bullet is aimed. So of the ships that are firing, which is about 8 or 9 of them, they are all aiming their bullets at the player, so it has to work out a trajectory and then fire the bullet. So that's more expensive than just knowing the angle of a bullet and just pre-baking that trajectory. And that brings us to our final boss for this sub-level, which is Draco. He gets very busy, puts a lot of bullets on screen. He fires a bullet arc in the general coordinates of the player. He puts about 233 sprites on the screen, or this particular scene, that's the max sprite count. And we get up around the 230 scan lines, so we're fairly busy on the CPU side of things as well. He's got quite a few more attacks to come yet without giving things away, but like a lot of things in this level that we've shown so far, it's all a bit of work in progress, and it's been really fun as we've achieved new things. Well, thanks for bearing with me till the end. I just wanted to give you guys a quick update on how our game is progressing. Made a lot more progress under the hood than what we have in actual level content, but we do need to get that engine stuff done so that we can know what we're capable of and deliver a really action-packed game that carves out our own, hopefully unique niche and what's a busy shooter scene on the Mega Drive. So, and finally, just a thank you to all of our supporters on Twitter and here on YouTube. A lot of the comments are really encouraging, and there's some pretty good constructive criticism as well, which we take on board. And we just really appreciate you taking the time to follow us. Looking forward to any comments you have, and till next time.